Hi and welcome everyone. Lisa from the Relativity of Paper. I'm sharing a quick process video with you today on the Sunnier Days Ahead card. So to get us started, I'm using a mini Misti. You really need some kind of stamping tool that will allow you to stamp in the same spot more than once because we're going to be stamping 2-3 times. So I'm using 4 colors of ink, green, blue, pink, and yellow, and I'm using 2 shades of each color. I'm starting with my lightest yellow color you see here, and I'm randomly placed some dots down, and to ink them up, what you want to do is swipe your ink pad across the stamp. Don't press down, but swipe it across. So once you have the stamps covered with that swiping motion, then go ahead and stamp them down. And then we're going to move into the second part of this. So for the second part, you want your darker shade of yellow, and I'm using Memento ink in Cantaloupe. And what we're going to do is tilt the ink pad so that we can use the edge of our ink pad. And don't worry, it won't mess your ink pad up because you're no need to press hard with this. You're doing it very light. But you see, I'm just using that sweeping motion, and I'm not covering the whole stamp. I'm just creating some feathering streaks across my stamp, and then we're going to stamp it down, and you'll get a look at what this does. Now, this is such a fun technique, and while I was doing it, other things were popping into my mind on how to play around with this. So be looking out for some more videos with ways to play around with this technique. Now, if you decide that the streaks aren't dark enough for you, you can see where my streaks were, and so you can go back over because you'll be able to see where they were. You can go back over and darken them up if you need to. Okay, I'm going to run through these inks really quick doing this process, and while we're watching this fast forward through, I'm going to tell you all the colors of ink that I'm using. I'm using Pear Tart and Bamboo Leaves, pink, Angel Pink and Rosebud, Dandelion Cantaloupe, and then for the Simon Says stamp inks, I'm using Malibu and Audrey Blue. Now you'll also see me twisting and turning my Misti so that I get different angles on my lines. I don't want them all running the same way because I think it adds a lot of interest when you twist it and turn it and have them going in different directions. The Victorine Originals dot set comes with 3 stamps that are circles that have words inside of them, and they're happy, love, and joy. I just gravitated towards the happy. I guess it's the mood I'm in right now. I'm just kind of happy. So that's why I picked this. It's just what I went with. And I did that same technique where you swipe the light shade across. And then what I did for the second step was the same thing, only I concentrated on the word happy instead of, creating streaks. I used the corner of my ink pad to really try to highlight that happy so that it's darker than the outer circle and kind of stands out a little bit more. Now, I wanted a little bit more interest to the front of the card, so I decided what I would do was use some Versamark ink because it'll add without adding color. So I really like this effect. It'll give you a little bit more interest without adding or taking away from what we've already done. So just randomly stamp that Versamark wherever you want it. That's what I did, and I just had fun with it. So one of the things about this technique is you don't have to be like real precise with your streaking and stuff like that. Just play with it and have fun with it. The stamping tool really does help because it holds the stamps, and so when you go to do your second layer, it really does help not having to worry about if they're lined up. Okay, so we're moving on. 110-pound cardstock, and we're scoring it at 5.5 inches to create a 4¼ by 5.5 inch temp fold card. We're going to use our paper trimmer and cut some lawn fawn perfectly plaid paper, and we're going to adhere that to our card base. we're going to use some fun foam on the back of our die cut stamped background. Now I used a stitched rectangle die cut, but you feel free to use whatever you want. And then I used the sentiment that I used is from another stamp set that I have, and I used the Simon Says stamp Audrey Blue ink to stamp it. And I'm using some 3D foam, and I'm offsetting it to the top right of my card. I like that effect where you don't always have everything in the center. So to finish this off, we just added some pretty pink posh clear sequins, and I stamped my name and my blog on the back of it, and we're ready to go. We have this fun, happy card, and it's so much fun. Guys, you've got to give this technique a try. I think you'll really enjoy it.